Fan last word, work, we don't play. DMV heat coming straight your way. No visit to the 757, we ride. Rusty Byrd got the bullpen live.
I'm Rusty Byrd, and I've got a great group of guys here. I'm going to introduce them, but then I want them to say a little bit about it. You all are very familiar with Jeremiah Davis. Coach Davis, Penn State star, former head coach of a number of programs, and now is coaching a great football player at Loudoun County and on that staff there. Welcome to the show, Coach Davis.
Yeah, so glad to be here, man. And just, I've become the old guy on the staff now. I don't know when that happened, man. I used to be the young, hip guy.
You were the
now
young guy.
I'm the old guy that they quote with the quotes, man. But so glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And we got Coach Super on 757, I'm sure you all know, and he's been on the show. Former head coach at Kecoughtan High School, and he knows 757 football, and that's one of the reasons we have him up here. He knows the game. Welcome to the show, Coach Super.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed being on in the past. Yeah, I love football, man, being around it. 757, obviously great history around here, and looking forward to talking some ball.
Good, thanks. Yeah. And Christian Abrams, he's been on the show. He represents the 540, one on the coaching staff at Mountain View, is coached at Battlefield in Prince William County, but he knows the 540, and there are some strong teams there. So, Coach Abrams, why don't you tell us a little bit about your Twitter, and then tell us a little bit about your background. But you've been on here before, but we're looking forward to having you. Kick knowledge.
Yes, thank you for having me on again. Yeah, like you said, this is my 5th year in coaching at Mountain View. Before that, I spent 2 years at Battlefield. In 2019 is around the time that I started picking up steam running the 540 athletes account. At this point, it's around 2,000 followers strong. Just really trying to, put a spotlight on the teams, because as you said, there's a lot of strong teams here, and I feel like there's media here for sure, but I just feel like there's not really just a hype machine for it, and so I like trying to hype those teams up for my area.
Okay, good stuff. And Jay Golson, that's my dog. He helped me get my podcast really kicked off 4 years ago when he had the nerve to say Battlefield would beat Oscar Smith when they were in the middle of winning state championships in a row. But no, he's the guy that also created the real Prince William County sports page on Facebook. Jay, welcome to the show.
Great to be here in Prince William County. Remember, I'm always right.
That's he's a comedian too. Yeah, Jay's had experience. He coached at Hilton High School. Big time real estate guy in Northern Virginia. Look, thank you all for joining me. We'll talk about. All right, but first, let's go ahead on and hop into some of the games that we talked about last week. First one being, 2 of the greatest programs in the state of Virginia in high school football history, the Hampton-Bethel game. Great rivalry. When I played in that game, and Lee Mary last week talked about, a lot of us in PD, we harp on the old days, but we still balling down there with a lot of state championships. But this game means a lot to me. And I predicted Bethel would win, but Hampton was able to pull it out. But anybody who saw that game, it was exciting. It was a big back and forth, and Hampton pulled it out, won 49-35. So it was really fun to watch that game, and to have been a part of that rivalry. But you all tell me, did any of you all get a chance to watch it? Coach Super, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, how about Hampton, right? I mean, at the beginning
Exactly.
of the season, you probably would have thought Phoebus, Warwick were the 1-2 that were going to be competing for the district, and it ended up being Hampton. A team that's probably gotten better as the year went on, had a hiccup at the beginning of the season. Probably, we base a lot of things that happen early on in the season, but they just continually improved, and they've gotten out of the shadow of Phoebus, beat up Phoebus really bad. Phoebus finished 3rd in the district this year. Phoebus is a little down, lost a lot from the past 4 years. But Hampton took advantage. Very strong quarterback play. He's a stud. They've got some real big weapons. The score this past week, 49-35, that's unheard of on the PD, and I don't think if you probably talk to the coaches, but for both teams, defensively, you're going to want to tighten up. That's probably not the type of style of, ping pong that you want to play once playoff football comes around. But, Hampton did what they had to do. They've won in a variety of fashions. Pulling away from teams, won a hard fought battle against Warwick when Warwick probably thought after beating Phoebus that it was going to be their district this year. And Hampton, just kind of back, getting out of the Mike Smith shadow. Back on top, and how about those Crabbers?
Yeah, no doubt. Anybody else thoughts on that game? Otherwise, we can move on.
I just want to say that it's good to see Hampton come back, because up here in Northern Virginia, as a kid growing up, you always want to see how did Hampton do last night, and now Hampton, it's like they won. So we knew growing up that Hampton was a school down there. Whoever won up here will play Hampton in the state championship. So it's good to see Hampton back, and it's a great school, and they said go Crabbers.
Or Jay, if it wasn't Hampton, it was Bethel beating Woodbridge in the state championship.
That was 1974.
I know, but hey, you were a kid. You were probably at that game, right?
15,000 people were there. Yes, I was there.
Yes,
as a 5-6-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, but before we go on, you just from a coaching wise, late in the season like that, those high scoring points, people gonna be paying attention to that tape.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it's something, some facet of the game. Again, I didn't watch it, but some facet of the game went different. The coverage was broken. Some blocks picked up on the extra end. They ran a different formation. And so that tape is going to be real valuable going into the playoffs to whoever those teams, face at the next level.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. All right. Jay, I can help you out with this one. I called this game, the Woodbridge Garfield game.
Let me add this before you start, because you were there. I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Garfield has a pretty good defense. Okay. Woodbridge did not have the best receiver that I played in that game.
I know.
I can't say why, but he didn't play. And it still scored 42 points against Garfield. This team, Woodbridge, they're going to be they're a problem for anybody in Virginia. I don't care who they play. They had the quarterback and Tucker, the receivers, running back, Marquise Sharp, scored 4 touchdowns. There's no weakness here for Woodbridge.
No. Woodbridge, Marquise Sharp is only in the 10th grade. He scored 3 touchdowns, 2 running, 1 receiving. I called that game for Prince William Sports and Entertainment. And the one thing I noticed is that Woodbridge kind of reminded me of an old school team in that they were a little cocky, but they were mostly confident. I remember for a lot of us growing up, and even the way I coached, like it was important that you were able to get yourselves motivated and pumped up. Now I had coaches that could give some great speeches and get hyped and rah. But man, Jay knows, like, we did media day and I talked to Garfield, and those kids just act like they weren't even
whatever.
Media day. And it was like, and their coaches even said that. And I noticed that in this game, like they saw no urgency to want to play or win, and nobody, like, I didn't see any real leadership that was like wanting to go out there and play football. So that stood out to me, and I said that in the call. But and we could talk about that in terms of how you coach athletes today and how things will go. But that's what stood out to me. Now Garfield at 6-4, they got into the playoffs. They have a chance to reset, and we'll talk about that.
What's Springfield and Lake Braddock?
Whoa, this based on our picks, a lot of us were calling for Lake Braddock. Coach Davis, can you hit on this one for me?
Yeah, I feel like I said West Springfield last week, but I'm gonna say it softly just in case I'm wrong. But I feel like I called on the coaching staff of father-son coaching staff, drawing upon history and that local Byrd rivalry. And the funny thing is them guys hit social media again. Like, but Springfield was on earlier this year for some craziness. That was crazy. And they won that game. And they came out versus, I mean, I keep seeing this kid from Lake Braddock, this quarterback, and he looks bigger and bigger every time. It's like, man, this kid going to North State, like, he looking like he's slinging a rock. But North Springfield's playing good football as a team that coached like that, that coached very well. In a game like that, for those of us that played and that coach, you know, a 3-point game like that, you keep your cool and you wait for that opportunity, right? And they went down and they scored, and they just took advantage of the opportunities that presented itself. They were one play better. Shout out to the Spartans of West Springfield.
Question now: Are they a 1 seed now? West Springfield?
Yeah,
and I think Lake Braddock fell all the way down to the 3.
Wow.
Yeah. They fell to 3, and they're playing Mount Vernon. I don't think they'll have a problem with that. But the big thing for me is the last 2 years I covered West Springfield, Lake Braddock in the regionals, regional final 1 year, but Lake Braddock got to be at home the last 2 years. Now they're going to have to go to West Springfield because they didn't win that game.
The pit, yes.
Yeah. So
you're making an assumption that they beat the 2. I mean, so you got the other game in South County Falls Church, right? And let's just say South County take care of business. Lake Braddock got to play South County.
Yeah,
right? And then they got to make it to the regional final, which, hey, I like it.
And you're right. Lake Braddock's going to have to be on the road for both of those games if they even beat Mount Vernon. Good point. All right. The other game, Hermitage Thomas Jefferson. Hermitage won 9-7. I don't think there is any real surprise there.
No.
But still clearly a good game, a defensive game, unlike Bethel Hampton. And then Jefferson Forest lost to Heritage.
Heritage, but you know, that's that Heritage team that just beat LCA.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know, they got it rolling. You know what I mean? And again, running backs gone from LCA, a couple linemen are gone, but still, that's the standard. You know, Southwest VA. That was the standard. They knocked them off. They got it going. Lynchburg got it rolling right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, man, winning a game like that, 9-7, while it's not a sexy score, you look at some of their previous results and they put up some points. You know, getting into playoff football, you're going to have to win in a wide variety of ways.
Absolutely.
Right? You're talking about weather type of issues. You're talking about getting colder. So you don't know what type of game you're even going to get into. And being able to know that you can win a low-scoring type of football game, that can play a huge role down the line.
Yeah, no doubt. Great point.
I agree.
Yeah. And then Magna Vista GW. They were rolling. GW Danville pulled this one out 50-49.
But it's been like what, 9 or 10 years since the home team won the game.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that was one of the stats we got last week. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So I know that game was exciting.
Well, Magna Vista have been steamrolling people. I mean, they're putting up like 60 points every week. And again, GW being a class higher than them, that was a 3-4 matchup.
Oh, okay.
GW Danville's a Division 4 team. You know, that's a little different, but down there again, it's who got the ball last, you know. And
it is.
For those two high-level teams, again, to put up that many points, I'm putting that on tape. But then, you know, to pull that one out, that was a real good job for them beating a real good football team, regardless of division.
Yep, no doubt. And then lastly, Manchester Huguenots, because Manchester, I believe they were undefeated.
I thought they were.
They were, but they lost to Huguenot 27-7. That was surprising. But I guess you can't sleep on anybody.
Yeah, man. You know? Bragging rights.
Right games, North Stafford, Riverbend. Now, Riverbend won that game 28-21. Kristen, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, really good game. Was just as back and forth as the score indicates. Riverbend, I think they came out and took the lead, but again, it was back and forth. North Stafford's defense is built on just speed. They get to the football. Like Battlefield, they played them earlier this year. And Battlefield's really good on offense. They're sound. They have playmakers that if you make a mistake, they're going to score. And North Stafford did a great job of just flying to the football for about 3/4 until the last 2 possessions or so of the game, and lost that one in a heartbreaker. This one was kind of familiar, kind of the same. North Stafford, it was around 21-14. North Stafford, they go down, they tie it up. They have a great offense. The quarterback, Chase Sullivan, does a great job getting the ball out, getting it to Kana Sullivan, number 3, he's got an offer from probably everywhere in the country at this point, playing at safety and wide receiver. But they tie the game up to make it 21-21. In Riverbend, they had this just methodical, slow 3 tight ends.
Wow!
Just jam it, ram it up the field slow, and they did exactly that on North Stafford. And North Stafford got there to the football, but at the end of the day, they're taking 3, 4, 7 yards at a time. They're making the plays that they need to make, and they scored with not a lot of time remaining left in the game to make it 28-21. North did, though, have a chance. It was about under a minute left. They had a chance. They had a good kick return. They have a lot of athletes back there. They got it into Riverbend territory, but just wasn't enough in the end for them to tie that game up and take it into overtime. So, at this point, Riverbend is 10-0. It's their first undefeated season in their program's history. They're going to be the 1 seed in their region. And that's the region with Stonebridge and all those Loudoun County teams.
Wow.
As for North Stafford, they're 7-3, but they have such a strong schedule. They're still going to wind up being a 3 seed in their region, and they're in a very strong region, and they're going to get a 3 seed over Woodbridge, who was 9-1, because they beat Woodbridge head to head, and because they just have a overall strong schedule. So both of these teams, I think this was a great matchup for both of these teams to have right before the playoffs. It's basically 2 teams that are contending for state championships in different regions, and now they're just going to go their separate ways, and they're not going to see each other again. So,
yeah, I agree. And if I've seen North Stafford this year. I saw them beat Woodbridge in overtime. Hadn't seen Riverbend this year, but I saw them the last couple of years because they had played Forest Park, and then I saw them play Freedom. Jay, didn't they play Freedom about 3 years ago? Had a big tight end.
Big tight end at Penn State.
They did 6'7".
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Big
so, Riverbend's a quality program. Were there any other games that we didn't specifically cover on this show last week, but there any other games that stood out to you all wrapping up this end of year? I'll just mention one, and that is Hogan beat Potomac to finish 7-3. And this is their first year. The school has been open for 10 years, their 9th varsity season. And under Coach Lauren White, who moved over from Brentsville, they went 7-3. And I just think that was amazing. I thought he had a great year. But it's one of those things with points, PowerPoints and all, whereas they were 7-3, but Garfield finished 6-4, but Garfield's schedule was crazy. So I think Garfield, I talked about it when I called it, they lost 4 games, but the teams they lost to probably have a combined loss total of like 5 games. And so, while during the broadcast, I was saying, like, is it better to play some cupcakes and have a better record? Or is this good teams thing going to work out? And it did. Because of the PowerPoints of playing such good teams, this is a case where it actually worked out.
Really quick before we move on to touch on that, so the state has moved away from just the universal PowerPoint system. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, we did.
Crazy. We have a 2-win team that got in over a 3-win team up here in Loudoun, and and I was talking to an AD not affiliated with that county, but another AD at a school, and I was like, well, how does this make sense? That's crazy. That could have been a 1-win team. They're going to get in. And he's like, well, they won in district play. And it says, and you're rewarding people. If you're going to represent your district, you're going to win a district. We want somebody that's going to win in district play, not choose easy schedule outside of collect wins and then come in and they get smacked when it's time to come into it. And so it took me a while to come around to that. But for a while, I coached head coach and assistant coach in the Concord district for a time, one of the toughest districts in the state. And the thing was, the consensus among the coaches then was we wanted one of our representatives from our district to play in the state championship game, and that would make our district stronger, right? You know what I mean? That up the profile. And so, although I still think it's got its flaws, I do see rewarding people who play better during the season within district play being rewarded at the end. I mean, it does make sense to schedule better than play. And I get it. I was at a school that it was hard to get 2-3 wins, right? And there's a place and time for those success for those kids. But also as putting a quality product on the field come November, you got to put those best teams out.
Let me add one more thing also. I remember, I want to say it was 3 years ago, the Colonial Forge had a really, really tough schedule, and they went 5-5. And Battlefield was undefeated and had a weak schedule. And guess what? The first round of playoffs, Colonial Forge beat Battlefield.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, I mean, to me, play those dogs all year. It'll help you in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, I think that's what, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, you look at Phoebus, they didn't play any games at the beginning of the year. Warwick lost their first 2 football games. One was an out-of-state opponent. One was against Oscar Smith. Phoebus played 2 completely cupcake games, got into a game with them, and the team that had been battle tested and played tough games and had to go through a 48-minute hard fought football contest, prevailed in the end. Like that,
Yes.
that means something. Sooner or later down the line, especially in high school football, while you may be running through districts and beating up on teams, sooner or later somebody is going to match you. And how do you handle that? All right, especially as you get into the fourth quarter. And that was like one of the big things with Nick Saban, like when you used to watch him coach. Nick Saban, while they'd be up 50 points, he would still be going crazy on the sideline. And everybody's like, well, why is he doing this? It was under the understanding that sooner or later, you're not going to be up by 50 points and you're going to have to win a game in the last 2 minutes, you get in that 4-minute drill. Can you run out the clock? You're down by 2 points. You're driving down the field. Can you get in field goal range? Those are the type of situations that when those arise in the regular season, whether you win or lose those games, obviously you want to win them. They will creep back up at some point in time, and then you have to capitalize that in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Coach Super sound like he ready to get back. What's up? What you got doing on tomorrow afternoon? Hop on the Zoom. I can get you. You got some.
I got dance. Man, once you go to dance practice and watch your daughter dance with all the dance moms,
that's it.
We'll start really thinking about getting back into football.
I'll call you on the FaceTime. That's it. You still got it in the tank, buddy, right there.
Yeah. And you can't say that to Jeremiah because Jeremiah's got 4 kids. Yeah. 2 boys, 2 girls. He's done everything, run between the dance, the basketball, everything.
God bless him. God bless him. It feels like I got 10 most days when I'm with her.
Now, I'd like us to go, and we're going to pick a couple of games. Some I identify, but again, if you think of something that that I don't bring up, feel free to chime in. But I'll start with Jay Golson because we got a really good Prince William County matchup with 2 teams that won their district in the first round. 8-2 Patriot is playing 9-1 Woodbridge in the first round.
Well, again, you have
one of the toughest screenings.
Yeah, you have the best defense, in my opinion, in the state, and Patriot. You have the best offense, in my opinion, with Woodbridge. And you have, the linebacker for Patriot, Matthew Lamar, who's highly recruited. Woodbridge has, of course, a quarterback, Caleb Tucker. You have Vinny Hill. You have James Shaw, running back Marquise Sharp. Whew. I mean, Woodbridge has a lot of athletes. Patriot, they have some athletes, but there's no depth on Patriot. I may change my mind, but right now, I'm going with Woodbridge.
All right, so I'm gonna hop in, right? So
come on, bring it.
Listen, Jay, you're a Prince William kind of guy, and I got you. But Woodbridge struggles. I won't say, and it's not but they struggle outside of Prince William County. The people who they knew, they beat up on them when they had to go to Stafford. They gave up 42 to North Stafford. They gave up 40 to Stafford, and something's in the water down 95. I don't know what it is. I mean, they got it right now. They got it. Woodbridge South got it right now. I love it. And I love my Northern Virginia folks. And,
Occoquan. We drinking that Occoquan.
But I'm just saying, Patriot has a guy. Most wouldn't know, just not a household name, but Braylon Addy has went off in these past games, right? What he had, what is his stat line? The last game of the season, 7 receptions, 131 yards, 2 TDs, 2 carries, 85 yards, and another 2 rushing TDs. I think he played some defense. I mean, in the past couple of weeks, my alma mater just had him up at the game, seen him on the sideline. Like, what you doing up here, big fella? Like, they found a way at Patriot to make it competitive. And I think what you said, Jay, is going to come to fruition where you got the best offense versus the best defense, but flip that around. Like, how does it look on the other side? So I think it might be a point battle right here. But these are 2 good games and 2 good teams in the first round. It's going to be crazy. This will be a game to watch.
Here, my quick question though, because your experience, and all y'all experience more than I am. Can a freshman quarterback win in playoffs?
So there's this guy.
Nah, he's good. He's good now.
There's this guy is good at my favorite university that went to 4 state championships.
Oscar Smith.
Only lost 1.
Mm-hmm.
They made a song about him.
Yeah.
They made a song about Trace McSorley, buddy. And again, I know him. I know his family. Tremendous kid. It can be done.
Okay.
I mean, it can be done. Again, you got to have the supporting cast.
You want a state championship?
You got to have the right coach too that doesn't put more on the plate than they can chew and get it to their people. But it can be done.
Okay.
I think the main thing with having a freshman quarterback is make sure you get him into a rhythm early in the football game. Don't make him lose confidence, while he's a freshman. Don't make him realize that he's a freshman. Give him quick, easy completions to start the football game out. Get him into it. Yeah, when playoff football comes around, everything is magnetized. Every play matters. But there are opportunities, especially early in football games, to get him in the groove. Get a ball out quick. Get him on the move. Get him some confidence to get into the game. I think the worst thing a coach can do is play scared, run, try to hide him. And, later on in the game, if you get down, then you're trying to put more on him. Get him into the game early rather than later. I think that's an important part of, having a young quarterback.
Yeah, he's a great athlete. He's a great athlete, great family. Yeah.
And the strength of that Patriot offense is their O-line running. I mean, that's what it's always been for years under Finnerty, is running that football O-line and then catching defense when they're asleep and going up top. And he's perfect for that. I'll go ahead and we played Patriot when they kind of turned it around. They were 0-2 when we went in there, and they blew us right out of there with the freshman quarterback starting, because he's good. He's a solid quarterback, and they're just well coached. So, and that's not to say that Woodbridge isn't, because they are too. That's why they're 9-1 and where they are. They have a lot of athletes. They score fast. I think they'll stay in this game, obviously, just based on the tons of talent that they have. But I like Patriot to just kind of limit possessions for Woodbridge, drain clock, and they'll find a way. I feel they'll find a way to win this game.
Okay. I might change my mind.
So Jay, you said Woodbridge.
But whoa. As of right now, I may change my mind. If I do, I'll post it.
I know you will. You'll change it at halftime of the game.
Yeah. What, you gonna wait to go to the game, watch pregame warm-ups?
Yeah,
right. The world. They can pick and stick with it.
Yeah. And Jay also has all these inside connections. Like, if this was the pros, he would be an insider and he would be selling his stuff for gambling. He knows when somebody's injured or got in trouble. He knows all the inside stuff. All right, Coach Soup, I know you're not from this area, but do you want to try to pick one for this?
Yeah, I'm going to take Woodbridge based off of what everybody else has said. I like Woodbridge coming in with a better record. They're at home. I like Woodbridge in this matchup.
All right, and Jeremiah, what did you say?
Oh, we're going Patriot.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna just go eastern side of the county. My wife worked at Woodbridge. I called the game last night. So I'm gonna go for those Vikings. All right. So next, let's talk about and this is gonna be you, Coach Davis. Washington Liberty versus Westfield.
Absolutely. Rematch game. Rematch.
Yep.
I mean, they're coming back, running it back. Tight game that was played earlier this season. Went to WNL. Fun fact: I used to work at both of these schools.
Wow.
I taught at WNL the first year they was in the new building, and then I was at Westfield for 5 years as a teacher, a dean, and an assistant football coach, defense coordinator, and my wife is an assistant principal at Westfield High School. I know the coaching staff very well over there, and actually, I know Coach Shapiro very well over at WNL. He does a great job with those guys. They never come in highly favored. They just I talked about, I think I talked about this last week. They never really come in highly favored out of Arlington. It's always just Yorktown that you hear about. But he always puts a competitive team together. Not working with a lot of kids that have a lot of football experience before and builds a great program. I like Westfield in this matchup on the second time around. They played some tough games. They lost a heartbreaker to Centerville on the last, the last drive of the game. They're right there. They're always really well coached on defense. And played 3 phases of the game. Coach Vossler is kind of modified. He's a wing teeth guy through and through. Kind of modified that a little bit to fit the kids and the stuff that he has going on in Westfield. They got a great receiver and a good quarterback duo over there. So this is another good first round matchup. I'm gonna take the Bulldogs and say happy wife, happy life on that one.
I was getting ready to say. Right, exactly.
Let me add this. I saw Westfield play Patriot this year, and Westfield literally punched him in the mouth. Westfield, they have a good linebacker. I forgot his name, and they're a good running back. And WNL, they're also pretty good, but Westfield is hard to beat at home. So I'm going with Westfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that this is just one of those things, just even as somebody who grew up in Stafford and not the Fairfax area, this is one of those type of games that just in the past you see Westfield, maybe they have an 8-2, 7-3 record, and then they run into a team that might have beat them. And then the second time they see that team, and I know it's a different coaching staff than those teams in the past, but still Westfield is, they've got such a good staff every year and a good support system. I just think that it's just going to be one of those games where Westfield will see them again, and they'll kind of win this game by about 2 scores. So I'll go Westfield on this.
Yeah, I kind of look, we look at overall records, and sometimes that can be misleading. I kind of look at, both teams and how are you playing towards the end of the season? Those last 2-3 games going in, you have one team that's coming in, they have back-to-back losses, came off of a big loss, and you have a team that's coming in and has won their last 2 football games. I think that can play a big role in, the mentality of the coaches, the players, all of those different types of things. So I'll take Westfield.
Yeah. And I'm gonna fall in line. Yeah, Westfield. One, they lost by 1 point. I think it's hard to beat a team twice in a year. But this is the other thing. And I've been saying this for years. And I think the Concord District is the strongest singular conference in Class 6 in the state.
What?
Maybe
in the past.
Hold on. Definitely Class 6, but maybe period in the state. And I'm gonna tell you why. When you look at the Concord District, you've got teams that have won at least one state championship. You've got Oakton. Madison has not won, but they've been there consistently in the game or close to it. One, and definitely one of the best Fairfax teams the last couple of years. Chantilly won a state championship. Westfield, what they won, like 4 in a row, maybe 5 overall.
They won 3 in a row.
3 in a row, and
3 in a row. And then the school's only been open like 24 years.
Yep.
If they were in Region 6B, would they win a state championship? No.
Who?
All the schools you named. If they were a Prince William County district.
I see what his point is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so Rusty, I think you're right in terms of if you're talking like just from like 2000 to today overall, then you have to give it, especially in Northern Virginia, to the Concord district. They have all the state championships, or at least most of them, right? But if you're saying like today, who has the best district right now, like who has the best teams, I think it's tough to say that right now the best teams in the Concord. I'll just say just the ones I know the best. I think it's a hard time saying that the three teams in the best teams in the Concord are better than the three best teams in the Commonwealth district that have North Stafford, Colonial Forge, and Riverbend.
Like, I agree with that too.
Right, I have a hard time saying that today. But if you're saying overall, then I think it's inarguable what you're saying because they've won state championships.
So, and it's the point, state championships, but also top to bottom. Some of these districts, even if they were freedom winning state championships, but the bottom teams are horrible. The worst teams in this district, you would say, are Chantilly, South Lakes, and Oakton. They're not bad teams. Like, they're not like horrible teams. Nobody's beating those teams by 60 and 70 points. And that's what I would say is, I think the bottom of the Concord and the top of the Concord makes that one of the toughest districts in the state. But you're right.
How many teams, Rusty, in the Concord are 7-3, not in the playoffs?
No. Well, okay. But look, it's the thing. They're beating up on. Okay, so let me say this. Madison has 4 losses, okay, but they're all by 1 point. Somebody's going to look on the schedule and say, you're 6-4, having no clue what that means.
You put Madison,
lost a good team.
You put Madison in the Commonwealth District, there might be a 5th seed.
Oh,
this year, it was that kind of year. They would have been a 4th seed in the Commonwealth District this year.
That's because you're a Mountain View coach and y'all were. That's a Mountain View perspective.
I saw all those teams up front.
Yeah, I gotta hear Coach Super's take because he's out of he's not in Richmond, not in Northern Virginia. But the thing is, Rusty, you guys are arguing 2 different points. This year is a different year. I mean, right now, what's going on in Richmond is crazy. Like, what's going on in Richmond? You can look at Richmond Division 4, and it's like, whoa.
Oh yeah. Whoa. I want
right. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you can be like, whoa. And Richmond including Dinwiddie into that. You know what I mean? You're like, whoa. But right. So, but at a time, let's say 2014, right, where you had a Centerville, a Westfield, and an Oakton that's all capable of winning a state championship, all in the same district, right? So it's year to year on that type of level. You know what I mean? It's just a group of talent that's in a city at the time. But overall, like what Rusty is saying, like for a 10-year period, let's say since 2000. Right, like
that's kind of what
in a 25-year period. It's hard to say that their consistency, and it goes back to a statement that I made when I first going. They made a commitment to do that. When they meet as coaches, when they talk, the sharing of information. It was a time. I'll be honest. It was a time they were running the same defense. Like we was all talking. We was all running the same. We knew what we was running on defense, but we do. Everybody, players didn't know what we was running, but we knew what we was running on defense, right? And the whole area was running it. The whole district was running it. So, I mean, yeah.
Jeremiah, if Fairfax County teams had to play Oscar Smith in state semifinals, there's no state championship. They're going to lose.
But Westfield beat Oscar Smith
at Fairfax County,
twice, and then we beat you. And then we beat them in basketball. So
Jay, but hold on, Jay.
So what are we saying though?
Hey, okay, you got me there.
Jay, hold on. I was at the state championship last year.
Hold on, we came up with the same kids in basketball and went back down and beat them again.
Jay,
okay. I
was at the state championship last year. Madison was this close from beating Oscar Smith. This close in overtime. And so for Oscar Smith to supposedly be so dominant, and I know I'm going to get hate from Randy Pierce and all the guys down there in the 757. Let's just not pick we're going to pick who we think is going to win. But for each game, do we think either of those teams has a realistic shot to even win the state championship? So just, do we think Westfield or Washington Liberty now? Do we think either of them can win the state championship? So my point is, 3 weeks from now, we even care about these teams?
No, because they play Oscar Smith in state semifinals.
Yeah.
Okay. So now go back to Woodbridge Patriot. Despite who you might have picked, can one of those teams win the state championship?
Woodbridge, yes.
I personally don't think so because they both have to meet Forge the next week.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Jay and I called the Colonial Forge Patriot game last year, the regional final.
Ooh.
And going into the game, we thought Patriot would win, but
no.
Colonial Forge put it
Colonial
on.
Forge is
Right. So Patriot Woodbridge, we think Woodbridge, but we don't think any of these teams so far can win the state championship.
Well, you know what? Since Colonial Forge lost to Riverbend, I think
they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You
they're
think
vulnerable.
Woodbridge can do what Riverbend did though, because it was very specific, like 13 personnel. It's
So right now we don't think any of these teams can. Let's move on to Heritage Midlothian, and we don't have an 804 expert here, but thoughts. Who do you? And this is a two teams that are 8-2. And they're both in that Richmond area. The game is at Midlothian. Any thoughts? I'm going to go with Midlothian in this game. Those Chesterfield kids, they're rough, man. They can play some football.
I'm on the home team.
Henrico kids can too.
Right.
But
I was actually going to go Hermitage for the opposite reason, like the same reason, but for the opposite. I was going to say that from what I've known about Herm, they're normally tough. So I'll go with Herm in this one, in a close game.
Okay. Jay.
Home team, Midlothian.
Okay.
I'm taking Herm, just like it says on the side of the helmet.
Okay. Super.
I'll be the tiebreaker. I'll take Midlothian.
All right. Okay. Good stuff. Now, do we think either of these teams has a realistic shot of even winning the state championship?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to make sure I got you all. So for the Washington and Lee Westfield matchup, everybody pick Westfield.
Yeah.
I think. Okay. All right. Next game. And we'll let Coach Super lead the charge on this. Kempsville versus Indian River.
Yeah, really interesting matchup. Coach Cherry, Kempsville was a bottom feeder program around here for the longest time. And Coach Cherry, since he's been at Kempsville, has done a fantastic job. I mean, Kempsville used to be everybody's homecoming, and now it's not really that way anymore. He's made that program into a consistent playoff program. They just have not been able to, take that next step in Region 5A. And Indian River's coming in, really tough district. You have 4 teams in that district that are pretty good football teams with Oscar Smith. Kings Fork is 9-1. They're the number 1 seed in 5B. And those are their only 2 losses on the season, and played Kings Fork extremely tough. So, and then won a overtime thriller against Nansemond River, a game that they were not predicted to win at that point in time. So, it should be interesting. Indian River has a really strong young quarterback. Indian River's interesting. They are a team that, could lose in the first round and then also could win 5A altogether. That's just kind of the type of team that they have. I will take Indian River. I like the trajectory that they've been on. Probably need to brush up on making sure, playing complementary football, not allowing special teams to give up returns. But I like the trajectory of where they've been going for a while now. So I'll take Indian River in this matchup.
All right. Christian.
I'm going to go with Indian River in this one. I know Kempsville is one of those Virginia Beach teams, right? And they have a hard time being able to schedule outside of their district and all that. I just think that at the end of the day, when it comes to playoffs, we just had this whole discussion about it. That just hurts you when it comes to the playoffs. So I'll go Indian River on this.
All right. Jay Golson.
I'm going to go with the home team, Indian River.
All right.
Then that's
Jeremiah.
Yeah, I'm taking Indian River. I mean, there are only 2 losses. You're talking Oscar Smith and that Kings 14. I think they battle tested. I think they win this
one. All right. I don't think the district that Kempsville plays in, and I think that hurts them again, not being able to play outside their district. I don't think the district overall is all that great. But the Kempsville coach in the program, they have come a long way. Coach Super, they still running the ball a lot?
Yeah, I mean they run. I'd kind of equate to what they're kind of more of a pro style type of thing. Now they run a lot out of the gun, but yeah, their bread and butter is trying to run the football and out physical you and eat up time of possession and play strong defense.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's the type of football I like to see. So I'm pulling for Kempsville. I think they're going to win this one. And one is in high school I played against Kempsville twice. And lost both times, but I played against them, and that back then, this was in the 80s. I just missed playing against DJ Dozier, but they had some really good teams back then, and really good crowds, and I think they're due to get a victory in the playoffs. Do we think either of these teams in Class 5 have a chance to win the state championship? Now, Coach Super, you said something about being able to win 5A.
Not the state championship, but they have a potential to make the Eastern region or their region finals. And if they start playing well enough, I think that they could win that region. I think Green Run could be had. So they have a potential to be in the state semis, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Anybody else think any either of these teams can win the state championship?
No.
Yeah, I think 5 is a little too tough.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. No. Okay. Next, I want to talk about Courtland at Varina, and I'll let Christian lead this.
So yeah, Courtland, again, is still Coach J.C. Hall. I think this is like his 23rd season as the head coach at Courtland, and if I'm wrong, it's only by like a year or so. He's got them rolling again, and to be honest with you, it's one of his more impressive coaching jobs in terms of the team that he's doing it with. Courtland, they've had good teams in the past where they win 9 games or so, but normally they do it with a couple of just freak athletes, and you can see it a mile away. Speaking as a guy who we scrimmaged those guys, it was our first scrimmage of the year. Courtland, they just had a decent team. Now, they do have some huge linemen. They have one kid, Jaden Edwards, I think his name is. He's going to Virginia. I think he's committed to either ODU or Virginia Tech, one of the two. But he's a huge offensive lineman. But other than that, skill kids-wise, they're just really good in their wing tee. They take 3-4 yards at a time. And they've done a really good job knocking off some of the better teams in their Battlefield district this year. Teams like Caroline, who was undefeated when they played them, and they beat Spotsylvania, who's a really talented team, and it kind of put them over the top, and they won that district this year. Of course, unfortunately, their reward for that and going 9-1 is playing Varina, who's they're really good. Obviously, we all know how talented they've looked, and they just beat Highland Springs a couple weeks ago, and their defense is probably the best part of their team. They fly around, so it's going to be a rough one for Courtland. Courtland played a team that earlier this year and it was their only loss that was, I would say, anywhere near Varina, and that was Louisa, and they lost that game to Louisa 36-0. So I do love Courtland. I live around the corner from Courtland, but I will say that I would expect it to be the end of their season this week against Varina. Yeah. I'll go ahead and say something I'll try to be nice to them because I do like them. So I'll say like 28-0, something like
that. Okay. Jay.
Wow. I remember Portland when they were a powerhouse in AAA in the mid-'80s.
Well, the coach, the quarterback for that team was the current head coach.
Yeah.
J.C. Hall,
under
who was
Ken Brown,
my teammate at Bethel. Just little history. J.C. Hall was a great quarterback at Courtland, won the state championship, but this guy beat him out for quarterback on our JV team at Bethel back in the day. J.C. was the quarterback all preseason, first game. This guy was running the option.
Was that the helmet you were wearing back then? Right there.
Yes, with a 35 on it because my varsity number was 35. My JV number was 14. Yes.
But Varina, I seen them play with Freedom a couple years ago, and it was toe to toe, Varina.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go with Varina.
I will pick Varina as well, and I think that this one could be one of those ones that gets out of control pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Jer?
Yeah, I'm going with Varina. Didn't they have the running back there and then he got hurt?
Yeah, they got a few good running backs.
Yeah, and then they just retooled. And it just, I mean, I watched them last year when they beat up on Tuscarora. They got that lineman that's I mean, I feel like he was like the player of the year or something like that. Like when you got a guy like that takes over the side of the ball and stuffs up the middle and you can't run stuff, Varina.
Now, I went to the Varina Maury game, and I was on the sideline, and it's hard to tell, just how good when you're playing two really good teams and they're just kind of back and forth. Varina should have beat Maury. They really should have. They just made some mistakes here or there. Had some touchdowns called back. They let Maury get a few plays that normally you could tell they wouldn't be able to get. But I'm going to call for the upset. I'm going to call Courtland to win this one, and the reason is because J.C. Hall's my boy, and Jeremiah, I would always pick your team. Coach Super, I would always pick your team if I know I got to see you again. So anyway, now if Jay Golson coached one of the teams, I would definitely pick the other team. But I am picking Courtland for the upset. And so that's it. We got, 4 guys going Varina, me going Courtland. Do we think any of these teams can win the state championship?
Varina.
Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely think Varina can win the state championship.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. They're built to do it. They can win the state championship, yes. But too bad they're going to lose to Courtland. All right. And I know right now, Lee Mary, who got me in that game in the sideline, on the Varina sideline, is going to be like, oh, look at Rusty hating against the 804. I'm not hating. No, I'm saying Varina can win the state championship. He just can't beat Courtland on Friday.
So again, let's go. Come on, guys. Come on. I know y'all don't. I'm living in Division 4 world right now, but we got an undefeated Louisa County in that same region, and the dude's running for like 8,000 yards on 2 carries. Like I don't know how you do that. The football field is on 100 yards long, and he has 4 carries for 1,600 yards. How does that happen? Then we didn't talk about Dinwiddie. What's the coach down there? He's gonna talk bad about you to the sun comes.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
And that's just to get out of that little region. That's to get out of region.
No, to me, this year 4 is the toughest, no doubt. We got Hampton High School.
They gotta beat. If they win this game, they play Dinwiddie the next week.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm saying
you got the last word. This your show.
I think Loudoun County can win a state championship. Okay, their path to the state championship game is winnable. Okay, now you're right. A lot of teams in that region, they got to beat up on each other. Now, and we ain't nobody said Phoebus yet. And when you talk about like winning that Class 4, the 3-time defending Class 4 state champion.
Yeah, they lost to Hampton though, and Hampton's number 1.
No, but I know, but I'm saying Phoebus is the type of thing. If they get by Hampton, they could win it all. So anyway, I just think Varina can win it, but I think teams can win Class 4. All right, I think that one is the one that is going to be the toughest. We still Class 4 got George Washington, GW Danville. They've got it's some really Jefferson Forest. It's some good teams. And we'll do more overall class previews in future episodes. Let's move on now to James Wood versus Sherando.
Yeah, we had the fortune of playing Sherando over the past a couple of times. We played them this season on a tight game, and they run the ball. I mean, they have the tradition that like none other at this school. Like, it'd be the drum all day, and they come out on a horse with their whole deal. I mean, and they can get it. Now, they've taken a couple lumps this season. But out west, we call it out west. That's down the 81 corridor, Winchester. those guys are like built different and they play different. We had the fortune of going out there and playing a good Millbrook team that hadn't had a ton of success, and they come out and they're giving you the business. And the same thing, Sherando will hop in they'll be I backs and then go 5 wide and then fling it down the field. So I like Sherando in this game. Just beating, but the way it's been going is all of those schools to just beat each other. Like they really have like this. It's the old like this your neighborhood little league team. Like, and that's where it's like all the schools in Winchester, all those kids grew up together. You play Pop Warner, you play baseball, play basketball. It's the same kids, and everybody feels like they have a shot.
Coach Super?
Yeah, I'll take Sherando. These two teams from the results played earlier this year, and Sherando won 49-20. It's a pretty wide margin. I know it's tougher to beat the same team twice, but usually when there's that wide of a margin, it's hard to close that much of a gap. So I'll take Sherando.
Yeah, I'll take Sherando too.
Me too. Me 3.
All right. So y'all know what I got to do. J-Dub for the win. James Wood. Their kids are gonna watch this, and they're gonna put all y'all names on the board.
That's right.
I remember one time in 1984, we were 8-1. They were 0-9, and we needed to win to get in the playoffs. James Wood came in the game wearing black cleats, short white socks. Man, we won in overtime. So you're right, James Wood. They can come out, tradition-wise, they can be dogs out there, but we barely won that game because we were overconfident, thinking, them at the playoffs, and they almost eliminated us.
Do we think either of these teams can win the state championship?
Hell no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. That's cool. Now, just in case y'all don't think people don't watch this show for real, and really do have bulletin board material, a few years ago, 2 years ago, I was at my cousin plays for William and Mary, Braden Byrd. He plays for William and Mary Star, and he was having a birthday party. And I was at his party, and he had some of his old teammates from Navy. He had some future teammates at William and Mary, bunch of people there at the party, a lot of football players. And I'm talking to this guy, and he had graduated he was a senior. He was graduating. He had just graduated. He was on his way off to go play college football some way, play for Phoebus. And we were talking, and I was saying, he goes, "Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you have that show, the Kirk and Byrd Show." And he said, yeah, he said, "Oh no, I remember what you said." He said that was the year when Phoebus was playing King George, in that muddy game at Darling Stadium on the field, and I picked King George. And he said, and I even made that statement on that episode. I said, Ed Bass ain't walking through that door. All right. Ed was a freshman at Pitt. And I said, y'all are good, but Ed Bass ain't walking through that door. And do you know, he told me, he said, when you said that, our coaches all week, they wrote it on the board, and they kept saying all week, Rusty Byrd said Ed Bass ain't walking through that door, and he don't think y'all can win this game. And I think that was a state semifinal. And man, he told me, I couldn't believe, he said, we wrote it on the chalkboard and we talked about it every day. Ed Bass ain't walking through that door, and they wanted to prove me wrong. So you never know. Last game probably for the night, and this looks to be a great game. Caroline versus Louisa County. We talked about Louisa being Courtland's only loss.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is class 4, right?
Yeah, it's class 4. These are two teams kind of in my Caroline, they've done a great job. Coach, it started with now head coach at Stafford High School, Gerard Johnson, and then he left. He went to Roanoke College, then came back, and then took the job to be the head coach at Stafford High School. It started with him, but now head coach Terry Alexander at Caroline. They've done a great job rebuilding Caroline. Like, I believe a couple of years ago, Caroline was 0-10. Like they didn't have anything. And if you've ever been to Caroline High School, like they've always had athletes, but the county is so huge. It's really hard for some of those kids to get there and stay there for after school activities and all that type of stuff. So there's been a lot of work put in by those two guys and that coaching staff to get a lot of buy-in, and it's paid off. Now they're sitting at 9-1. And if you just went on Huddle and looked at this team, they have some studs. Trey Coles is one of the first players that comes to mind. But just overall, their roster's stacked. And then on the other side, you have Louisa, who they're headlined, of course, by two just bona fide studs. And number one, Savion Hyder, who's going to Michigan this upcoming year. And I believe he's actually the number one running back in the entire nation, not just Virginia. So, I mean, that's right there. And then you have and for somehow overlooked is Desir Carter, who is a receiver, a 4-star athlete who's going to Rutgers. So I think that this is going to be a really good football game. Probably, I think some people would expect maybe Louisa to kind of pull away in this one. But Louisa historically they've had really good, solid teams. Sometimes their defenses have been shaky. So I think that that Carolina will probably have a good strategy. They have solid players that'll make this one interesting. I just think that in the end, it's going to be too much Savion Hyder, too much Desir Carter in the end. I'll go Louisa. I'll say like 27-20, something like that, 28-21.
Okay. Jay Golson?
Wow. I would say I'm going for the upset. Caroline.
Okay.
Over Louisa County.
All right. Coach Super.
We can talk about the coaching aspect and all those types of things, but big-time players got to make big-time plays in big-time games. Somebody told me that a long time ago, and Louisa has those guys. They'll win the football game.
Yep.
Yeah. Coach Davis.
Yeah, I mean, number one running back in the country is tough.
Exactly.
It's tough to go again. And you got somebody to throw to. I mean, the point differentials that they're throwing up, I was just pulling up their scores. I mean, and they're, like I say, they're again, the guy has like 5 carries in a season worth of yards. I don't get it. I love to see it. Not really. But yeah, I don't see it. And they can win the state championship.
Yes.
Now I'll put this caveat out here, and I hope it's not bulletin board material, but I hope for those guys they do take it serious. Louisa he's not like the only good player that's ever came out of Louisa County.
Yeah, Penn State.
They just had a player that was in the pros,
Right. Like they've had guys over the past 10 years, real live dudes, and haven't won a state championship.
Yep.
Right. Like they beat the bricks off of people. And I mean, like legit NFL caliber guys that haven't won a state championship. And I say that so if they hear this to this team, be those dudes that break that. Because we're trying to do that at our school too. We had some good guys before. Let's be the best team to walk through the hallways.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So you're picking Louisa as well.
Absolutely. And if you go the other way, that's wild.
No, I'm not crazy. I'm not Jay Golson. No, I'm picking Louisa County for everything all of you all have said. I just know the history of having great players. They haven't gotten it done. And I guess if James Franklin was their coach, he'd be fired. But to me, that doesn't really mean a lot because each year is its own self. But I think Louisa is going to win this game. I think they can win the state championship despite how tough Class 4 is. But I want to ask this question of you, Jeremiah. Who's the real LC?
Is there another one?
Well, there's a Louisa.
It's great to be a county captain.
Okay, Loudoun County captains. I just want to make sure you were still going to be repping that. Okay, all right, Loudoun County. So Loudoun County, Louisa. Ooh, wouldn't that be a great state championship? I think they're on opposite sides of the bracket too, right?
That's what we had to meet them.
Yeah, that'd be a good problem. That would be a good problem. All right, guys. Are there any other games? Well, I'm sorry. Clearly, there are a lot of other really good games, but we just picked these right here. These 8 is ones to highlight. But are any others that stand out real quick that you want to maybe mention?
Yeah, one game that you may laugh at. Forest Park at Battlefield.
Yeah.
If there's gonna be an upset, the lower seed and the high seed, this is the one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. Kellen Lewis makes that much of a difference. He absolutely does. I called 2 of their games this year, and I called when they Garfield barely beat them without
him. Yeah, without
him. But when I called that game, I think that they had at that point that they had only played, that was the 5th game, 5 games, and he already had 999 yards.
Exactly.
Like he makes that much of a difference. And that he's the reason that Colgan lost. Like when he came back, that's when he played against Colgan, and that
he runs
Colgan out of the playoffs.
He runs at you, and if he gets past you, you can't catch him.
Yeah. And what's crazy is he was on the roster last year playing against you, Kristen, but they had Landon Hunt, who ran for who's the all-time leading rusher now in Forest Park history, but Landon Hunt and him last year.
The same roster.
Actually,
and now you have Antonio Jones, who's also a good running back. Yeah. And so I call him Thunder and Lightning, but we're going to find out against Battlefield. That's the one upset that I could see happening is Forest Park.
So, Kristen, just so you know, Kellen was the running quarterback for Forest Park last year.
Yeah,
he was the backup.
I think he scored one of their only touchdowns.
He scored one of their touchdowns. Absolutely. Yep. So that's a good call, Jay. That's going to be a definitely a game to look out for, especially with Battlefield. Now it's been most of the season having lost their star quarterback early in the season where he re-injured his knee, and then they injured last year.
The backup is good,
but
he can throw.
Mm-hmm.
The backup quarterback,
yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for doing this episode. I really appreciate it. Y'all really brought the knowledge. What I'd like us to do now is look, like I said, this is not first take, because who cares about your first take when you can give the last word? So I'd like each of you to give your last word. Start with you, Coach Super.
Yeah, I used to play this. I would never blame the officials or anything along those lines, but the trend that I've noticed across not just high school football, but throughout all football, put your flags away, man. Like some of these things have just gotten so over officiated. Mm-hmm. High school football games going on for longer than 3 hours. It's ridiculous. And a lot of it is the pauses and delays games. These are high school athletes. These are not professionals. While I know that certain calls have to be made, when there's 10 and 15 calls going on in high school football games, it's gotten out of control. I understand that the officiating business is a tough business, but the overall the number of penalties that are going on in these games, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, good take. Nice one. I appreciate it. Great last word. Christian.
Mine is just going to be a quick one, and I'm just trying to, again, just shed a little love to the 540, to my Stafford guys, to the guys in Spotsy, Fredericksburg. Again, we got a lot of playoff football teams just in Class 6 alone. We got Colonial Forge, North Stafford. Riverbend is taking a week off because they earned their 1 seed in Class 5. James Monroe made the playoffs. Caroline made the playoffs. And I'm forgetting a couple teams. Spotsy, we talked about Courtland. There's just a lot of good football. I'll say out of those teams that I named, only about 3 of them I see could possibly win a state championship this year. But at the end of the day, that's something that hasn't been done here in a long time. So just rooting for all the 540 teams, Fredericksburg region teams this upcoming weekend.
Cool. Jay Golson.
Okay. Players out there, remember this. If you're a good player, this Friday and Saturday is going to be a job interview for colleges out there. They don't care if you play Bethel because they're sorry. But when you play schools like, Lake Braddock, Forest Park, Battlefield, Colonial Forge, they're watching you. So remember, this is now a job interview. They're going to watch you play this weekend.
Coach Davis.
Nothing great has been accomplished without massive enthusiasm. All right? Massive enthusiasm.
Great line.
Tomorrow is Monday's practice. Bring that massive enthusiasm on Monday. Make practice harder than the game. Win or lose. You might do something like Jay Golson said, great, but nothing great has been accomplished without massive enthusiasm. Where's that E at?
Good one.
Good one. I appreciate it. I'll close on my last word is just going to be on mistakes. Cutting down, eliminating mistakes. I've called a lot of games this year where teams, and I won't say their names here if you've listened to some of the broadcasts, I've said them, but teams that are getting 10 and 15 penalties in one game. And so and when I talk about, to me, the game of football is actually based on mistakes. And the reason I say that is you either make mistakes by having penalties, fumbles, throwing interceptions, or the other team causes you to make a mistake because they run a play and you get tricked, and then somebody, the coach on that team, is going to say you made a mistake. And it's you're because look, you guys are all coaches, and some of you besides Jay are actually really good coaches. When Coach Super is playing Coach Davis and he's drawing up on the board his play, he says if we do this, this, and this, we're going to score. And Coach Davis is saying, if we do this, this, and this, we'll stop any play that comes our way. Because I guarantee you, there hasn't been too many plays that you couldn't find one athlete and go, what are you doing? Right? Mm-hmm. But in the end, all it takes is that one mistake, one block to get missed and somebody get a sack, one guy not closed down, contained, and that player get outside, one safety get looked off, or one holding penalty or roughing the passer when you didn't need it. If you can cut that, look, Coach Super, the refs aren't going to be your friend, okay? But if you can cut down on mistakes, you can win the ball game. The thing that we don't see up here when we're just blindly looking at some of the games we haven't actually been to is we don't know the mistakes that were had by good teams that caused another team to win or lose. So I just say, beware when you're working this week, coaches and players, make sure you're focused and you're doing the things in practice so it's easy in the game. And you cut down on those mistakes, you lift each other up, and you can get a win. And yes, you can beat Louise. Yes, you can beat Patriot. Yes, you can beat anybody if you cut down on those mental, those physical, and those frustrating mistakes. And that's my last word. I appreciate Coach Super, Coach Abrams, Jay, the Facebook guy, and my man, Coach Jerry Davis, for joining me. This has been The Last Word with Rusty Byrd on VHSL Football. We're
Hey, that last word we don't play. DMV heat coming straight your way. No visit to the 757, we ride. Rusty Byrd got the bullpen.